HiRevz Media is sponsored by Born to Ride Motorcycle Magazine. Check out borntoride.com.
Alright guys, finally got a pretty day here in Georgia, finally. So, going to take the hot rod over to the shop, and I'm showing what we're going to do here. So, one of the things that we really need to do is move this temperature sensor that goes to the EFI, move it to the front, because there's no crossover here. So, it just takes forever for that spot to get warm, but it doesn't have water flowing through it. So, the gauge is reading completely different from what the EFI is reading. It takes forever to get it in the learn mode. So I need to move it up to the front or in the head, either one. But added some moon eyes on there. Got another one for the other side. Greg and I went to the moon eyes shop. We went to California last year. So finally putting these stickers to some good use. All right, guys, got the hot rod over here in the shop. And about to start messing with it. Like I said, we got to pull out, these two fittings here, and pretty sure that one's smaller than this one, so I had to come over here for get an adapter, and I think I found the right one. So we gotta, I want to try to let this thing cool down, see if it'll hold enough suction to pull it without it leaking out a whole bunch of water. If not, we'll drain the water down below intake level, make sure that's good to go. So try that in a minute. All right, guys, so while the engine is cooling down, I decided to get under the dash here, and I've got a couple switches under here that just got these, I guess nitrous style switches on them. One of them's a fan and one of them is the headlights, and there's a couple different holes here. So I've got the headlight one dropped down right here, and I'm gonna end up installing a pull switch here. So this one you just pull on and the lights come on. Click it off, because this is just set up very simple. And what I'm going to do is keep it all symmetrical, but I want to install the pull switch right here so I can just pull it right there, have a good headlight switch to get to. Probably at some point in time I'm going to end up installing some indicator lights, some little green lights, so I can tell that the blinker's on. So first thing I'm going to do is measure this and then get it lined up where I can pull it on. And I'll put a link in the description, but these are 75 amp, 6 to 28 volts, so should be good to go. Feels nice and sturdy, so. All right, guys, well, I marked my hole with some tape and then lined it up. And now I've got my switch where it will fit through the hole. So now I'm gonna hook up my wires, feed it to the back. Should be good to go. All right, guys, so now I'm working on the wire. Went ahead and cut it. There was a ton of wire here because it went all the way to the other side. So now it's just going to here on the back side. So putting some ring terminals on here, and then these actually screw in on the back. All right, guys, got the switch in place. Wires are hooked up. Got it tightened down, nice and flush there. Last thing is a little chrome knob. Then that tightened down. Hey, look at that. Get that on there, and then that looks pretty clean. And then we got lights. Hey, we got lights. Good to go. Nice. Perfect. It's a heavy duty switch. It clanks big time, but that'll work. It's nice and centered, and then like I said, at some point in time I'm going to add some little green lights either here and here or here and here, just to have indicators, or maybe even up here, wherever. But I want everything to stay symmetrical. All right, guys, so got that done in there. Moving back out here, this is the fuel pressure sender, which was like sticking up crazy high. We loosened that, flipped that around. I think that looks a lot better. It hides it so much more because it's just black and white against that checker. So that already looks better. At some point in time, I'd really like to put the fuel injection box on the inside, and because it's through bolted, I just through bolt it through the inside, and then that would get rid of that. Ultimately, I'd love to have IDFs, 4 IDFs on here, but all this stuff's done with the fuel injection, and that'll be a chore, so maybe one day. So now we're gonna start looking at this. All right, guys, that worked perfectly. Had the plug in here, got the coolant temp sensor up here, and now it's reading correctly. I'm already up above 160, which is what it has to be in order to start learning. And the gauge is, I'm not right on it, but you can see it's a little above 160 from this angle. So that is perfect. Now they're reading together. Before, for this to read 160, this gauge would have to be almost 200 degrees for it to finally get warm enough back here, because it's literally just a hole down in there. It's not actually flowing water through it like this side is. So that exactly fixes it. So if you have a Terminator EFI, you need to be up here in the front or in the head, or water is actually flowing. That's exactly what it needed. So it should do so much better going down the road, because literally it would take forever for this thing to warm up hot enough to actually start acting right. So this is perfect. That is awesome. All right, guys, so everything's working really good. Temperature's doing really good. It's working on both the EFI and the gauge now at the same time. So I think we got all that worked out. The headlight switch is working good also. So now we're gonna run it down the road a little bit, because y'all haven't seen it go down the road. This will be Pop's first time in it also, so we'll go check it out. Traffic slows down. Definitely one of those vehicles you want to get straight before you take off.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But these tires are super sticky, so it plants itself and runs out pretty good. Gonna move out on it.
Yeah.
I did adjust the kick down some too. I've been shipping manually right now. I did adjust a little bit more. It's a little slow, but, but it did kick on down a little bit. I did adjust it back just a little bit more to tighten up that line. But it did work. Get up to our quarter mile here. Quarter mile from the Citgo.
Scary for this little car.
It is extremely scary and way too fast for this little car. Reason Denny and I are even more scared is because we had a T-Bucket years ago, and it was literally a barn find. Like it was built in the 60s and pulled out of a barn. And we were the first ones to really drive it or do anything with it for years. And we got it out and was driving it. It had a power glide and a 283, but it was a pretty hopped up 283, had double hump heads and everything. And I floored it and went from first to second, slipped and hit reverse, and it locked down, and we only had rear brakes on it. So I was stomping the brakes, it was already locked down. I mean, it was already braking. But we had no front brakes, no control, and we literally almost went off the side of a cliff. I mean, off a little ravine. It would have toppled on us and probably killed us. It broke the body off of the frame. It busted it up a couple places too. It bent one of the headers in. It busted the axle 4-link mounts on there. It busted the bottom glass, so we moved the top glass to the bottom. So we did a bunch of work to it and made it look a lot better. But I'll show you some pictures of it here, as we're talking about it. But this is what it looked like when it was done. But pretty neat car, but it scared the crap out of us. From that point on, I did not want to drive that car at all. This one feels much safer, and I think it's because of the big, huge, sticky tires. Really plan it very well. Obviously, it's not a sports car. I'm not putting it through these turns fast because that would be scary. It's made for straight line drag for sure. But man, it pulls hard though. The best part is the EFI is learning more and more every time I drive it, every time I step on it. So it's going to get better and better at understanding. You can see it's bogging it to begin with, and now it's not really bogging at all. Doing good. Oil pressure is running about 70 psi, 60 psi right now, and temperature staying right at 180. And our alternator is alternating, and we have a tiny bit of fuel left, so we're doing good. This car now has 782 miles on it since it was built in 2021, and Danny and I are just really working out things that we like, really, but also little tiny bugs and issues are the things that kill me the most. Little things that just don't work perfectly. I want this car to be perfect, everything about it. When you see this car, I want it to be slick as can be. So I want it to look like it was built yesterday. I want it to be that slick, So we'll have to get it ceramic coated and all that stuff too. We'll get out that Avalon King and do that again sometime soon. But go for a nice drive around the park.